I have to confess something to you guys. I actually never played Fear and Hunger 1. Okay, before you call me a LARPer, let me explain. I have been following Fear and Hunger since the early days of its beta stages. Specifically, I used to watch videos about it from a YouTuber named Riskrim. Sadly, I don't think he posts anymore, but anyway, the fact is, at the time I watched a lot of videos about Fear and Hunger, so what ended up happening is that I had learned so much stuff about the game that it kinda spoiled the experience, so I decided not to play it myself. That was until Fear and Hunger Termina came out. This time I played the game completely blind and had a lot of fun with it. After finishing the endings, I took a break from the game with the intent to replay it when the update came out. Yeah, that turned out to be an unfortunate idea. It has been a few years and basically I've forgotten a lot of things about both games, so I decided why not actually play the first one. But I didn't want to just play it, I wanted to do something more. Today I'll be completing every achievement in Fear and Hunger. Before we can even start, we already have a problem. Fear and Hunger does not have achievements. Fear not, dear viewer, I have a solution to that. Because I have found a bunch of community-made achievements compiled by the user ThatGVGuy. I'll leave a link to the achievement list in the description, so you can use it for yourselves. These achievements range from pretty standard ones, like getting certain endings and defeating bosses, to very interesting ones. Hey, I never said they were all gonna be good achievements, okay? Before we start, I'll set some simple ground rules I will follow in every run. I am banning the use of phase steps since I believed it was never intended to be used by the player, and debug spots are also banned because, you know, they would kinda defeat the purpose of certain achievements. Everything else is fair game. I will also be playing on Terror and Starvation difficulty, and then switch to hard mode when necessary. By the way, can I just say the background for the menu is like a damn painting? I would unironically display this in my house. I really love Miro's art style. And yes, they are still drilling, by the way. Anyway, let's get started. For the first run I decided to play as Cahara, since stealing would help a lot with a few achievements, and it's also a really good skill. I also got Escape Plan, so I don't get stuck in bad fights, and finally Dash, because it's basically mandatory. There's a reason why it became base kit in Termina. And I immediately get an achievement for starting the game. Classic. Not long after entering the dungeon, I get my first two real achievements. One for failing a coin flip and one for entering the basement. While I know a lot of things a new player wouldn't know, that only allows me to skip the beginning stages where you get destroyed by guards. Since I have never personally navigated the dungeons, I lack the ability to plan out a route. So I use this first run to get my bearings, and explore the dungeons to gather info for the next runs. This lack of information immediately comes into play, as I misremember when the guards use their coin flip attack, and are forced to use a lucky coin to avoid dying. After reaching the fortress and getting another achievement, it's time to deal with Rotor. He is important not only for getting the achievement for beating him, but also for another one I'll complete in another run. For the meantime, stealing from him, I complete the achievement for stealing successfully from an enemy. After hitting both libraries, I get the achievement for failing 5 coin flips in a run. There will be many more. Before continuing, I rescued a girl, since I was heading to the courtyard, so I could equip her with the dagger. Sadly, an unlucky encounter with a guard causes me to lose an arm, mostly because I decided to equip a mace instead of a sharp weapon. Once to the courtyard, I open the passage to the thicket and engage the dogs to get the achievement for throwing a stick and making them stop attacking. This, however, does not stop them from performing the coin flip attack, forcing another lucky coin use. I get the achievement for entering the thicket and make my way to the bottom to get the Eastern Sword. This weapon will end up becoming my best friend throughout the entire experience. Here I also fail a coin flip using a lucky coin, earning me another achievement. I descend into the prisons, and during the attempt to purify the Eastern Sword I miss. I then remember the ghost performs horizontal slash in his second turn, but for some reason I decide to guard as if I was playing Marco with perfect guard, believing it would protect me from losing a limb.
again!
Looking at the bright side, this earns me the achievement for losing both arms. I decide the best course of action to salvage this run is to just escape the dungeons. So I reach Legal's cell, and since I took my sweet time getting there, he's already dead.
Don't move, 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 I didn't move, that beginning didn't count!
No matter, I climb all the way back up and escape the dungeon to earn the achievement for completing Ending E. Overall, not an awful run, it helped me jog my memory, but still needs a lot of work. Restarting the run, this time I decided to take the underground route, to get the achievement for entering the mines, and recruiting Moonless. I also find Pocket Cat here, we'll need him later. Proceeding deeper into the mines, I save Dars and recruit her to my party. This does make the entire village hostile, but I don't really care, the cave dwellers are pretty weak. By finding the rope in the village, I can descend into the hole where the wolf masks are. They are pretty useful to refill your hunger meter, and most importantly, give you one entire affinity point towards Gro-goroth. Suffice to say, I'll be making a pit stop here in every single run. This time I got to Legald much faster, and he joins my party. Legald is a pretty good party member since he comes with Leg Sweep, which is a pretty handy skill to have. I decide this is a perfect opportunity to use the free save at the Crow Mauler bed. With a full party, I'm basically how did the saying go again?
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
It took me a few more tries to get back on track, but in the meantime I remember that winning a coin flip on this particular table sometimes rewards you with the Mbappe special.
What's the Mbappe special?
For example, nothing.
After managing to save, I climb back up to the entrance to defeat Isaiah, to get his maps and his iron mask. I then head over to the bunny masks to heal by doing cardio. This also gives affinity with Sylvian, so they're always worth visiting. Sadly, on the way to the eastern sword, the game freezes, forcing me to restart. Anyway, next I get a pretty important skill. By sacrificing this guy and praying to Olmer to this statue and in a single ritual circle, you gain affinity with him. You are now able to learn Broad Portal. This skill is a godsend, since you'll be able to make portals in every ritual circle for quick travel. I head back into the mines to get the Cube of the Depths, and I fight the Old Knight. I managed to defeat him, but in exchange I lose one of my legs, so I ended up restarting again. My next plan is simple. Defeat the Salmo Snake to get its soul. It will prevent every infection, bleeding and limb loss if equipped. But first I defeat the Cave Mother to get her eggs to make the fight a little bit easier. And because I need to defeat her eventually anyway. Now that I have the Salmon Snake soul, it's finally time to get the Penance armor. At some point I learned the Devour skill, and using it grants me another achievement. Now it's finally time to enter Mahavre. There's an achievement for entering every section of Mahavre, so for the sake of simplicity I'll just group them all now. I be careful not to despawn the Crow Mauler, as I want to keep him around to defeat him later. Here is also where I can freely save the game wherever I want. Well, I save for free, but let's be honest, it's not really free. You pay with your sanity every time you climb up and down those stairs. I then remember I found an empty scroll at some point, so I decided to use it now. I know exactly what I need. Oh Lord, give girlfriend.
Damn!
Well, whatever, I'll just ask for the next best thing. Locust Swarm. It will be useful later. By using the map I got from Isaiah, I find the scrolls for Walk on Water and Transmutation. Walk on Water will allow me to reach Nosramu's second laboratory to get Combustion, and with Transmutation I have basically infinite mind and hunger restoring items. Now it's the best time to start taking down some bosses. Back to Mahavre, I defeat the Black Witch, and I then bait the Crow Mauler into jumping me. I do manage to beat him, but I get blinded in the process, since, you know, the armor that completely covers your entire face does not protect you from being blinded. Amazing. Anyway, I also defeat the Iron Shakespeare and rest there on the bed in the Past Mavre to get access to the Dream section, and defeat the Skin Granny, to gain the Endless Soul. Next on the list is Chambara. Before we get to him, I first have to make an husk. To do this, I make my way to the Hidden Lab, where I also am able to get my hands on the Circle Spear. Once at the Temple of Torment, I sacrifice the husk and begin the fight with Chambara. I make sure to poison him during the first phase for extra damage during his second phase. He goes down pretty easily. I also defeat the White Angel, but I devour him by mistake. I guess no White Angel soul for me in this run. All that remains to do to access the Golden Temple is to defeat Valtail. As long as you kill him fast enough, he won't have the time to cast his most powerful spells.
No shit.
Having obtained the 3 souls, I can get through the Guardian and enter the Golden Temple in the present, to get the King's Passage Key, and kill the last heart of the God of the Depths. By doing this, I also obtained the achievement for defeating the Butterfly. Back to the past, I open the gates for the Golden Temple to face against Francois. On paper it will be a pretty tough fight, if only he couldn't be stun-locked by just shit-talking him. Congratulations Francois, you have just earned the award for being the easiest boss to cheese in the entire game. And I got the achievement for defeating him. After defeating Francois, Legard betrays us and sits on the throne. Following him to the Void and rejoining with the party, I make my way to Legard. But since I'm playing on Terror and Starvation, there's still one last roadblock. Sylvian is probably one of the most difficult fights in the entire game. She can entangle one of your party members for 3 whole turns, and their tentacles hurt a lot. Not to mention she's quite hard to cheese using damage over time effects, since she's immune to poison and resistant to burning. But she can be stunned, and that's exactly why I got Locust Swarm. During my first try, while I'm about to defeat her, the game freezes on me. On the next try I managed to stunlock her and inflict burning on her, effectively assuring my win. Finally we get face to face with the Yellow King. Compared to Sylvian is a very easy fight. The only dangerous thing he has is Black Orb, but other than that he's a fraud. With this I earned the achievement for Ending C, but before we move on from the Void, I have one last achievement relating to Legard. By kneeling to him I achieve Ending C2. We are not done with this save file yet though. First of all, I head back to the basement and get the miasma, and then head to the Cave Dweller village to enter the Gauntlet, the hardest area in the game. It's filled with instant kill traps and a lot of strong enemies. This is also where the double Chromauler is. Again I get blinded before defeating him, but I still count it. Once I get through these last few areas, it's time to face the hardest boss of the game, Gro-goroth. Gro-goroth is so strong that fighting him alone is almost impossible, since he has the tendency to 100-0 you in one turn. I managed to defeat him on my second try by burning and poisoning him. If you think it looked easy, don't worry, this won't be the last time we will have to deal with both Gro-goroth and Sylvian. Anyway, I get Ending B, and with this I can move on from this save file. For this run, I decided to play as Darce. She probably has the best starting options if you want to focus on fighting enemies early on. Fast attack straight up gives you an extra turn for free, and you can start with arm guards to negate arm loss. Also, I'm gonna start skipping ahead a lot more from now on, since I'll be basically following pretty much the same starting route every run. Once I reach the entrance, I save the girl, to then immediately give her off to Pocket Cat to get both achievements for giving the girl away and concluding Pocket Cat's quest line. After reloading the save, I go to the mines to recruit Cahara and then back up to the entrance to kill the human Hydra. I also get the Eclipse Talisman from a yellow mage to recruit Nashra, but I don't plan to ever use him, so it's reset time. One last thing I do before defeating the new gods is save all of Bachman's party, to get the achievement. You get a Ring of Wraiths for completing Bachman's questline, but I don't really need it, so I didn't bother heading back up to the basement once I rescued Sir Cyril. By completing the Mahabre puzzle, I get the Old Passage Key. I need this to reach the Old Guardian, but before I fight him, I defeat the Nameless Guardian after removing his arms. For some reason, if you remove his arms, the old guardian also loses his arms. This game is held together by duct tape. In the same room where you get the key, you can also find the Lady of the Moon. She will ask for the girl in exchange for completing restoring your life and limbs. She even cures your phobia, but I don't think this was intended. Anyway, I don't need any of this, and I also need the girl, so... Also, by this point, I'm sure I have gathered enough lore books to earn the achievement for reading 10 lore books. Now it's time to head back to the Void, and here an unfortunate event happens. I wanted to fight the Greater Blight, but I mistakenly save over my previous save file outside of the Void, in a pretty bad spot. Whoops.
Oh, the sounds, I don't like them. Perfect! No!
I defeat the Greater Blight, reload the save and immediately dart towards the Sylvian fight to avoid having to fight the dinosaur again. After meeting with Darcy's new god form,
You are not you. You're me.
I earned the achievement for completing Ending D. Next I descend back to the Gauntlet because it's time to defeat the God of Fear and Hunger. She is not particularly hard, but at one point I get jump scared by a coin flip attack. I forgot she had one.
Come on, man! That's too easy!
She goes down, or rather the fight ends a few turns later. The God of Fear and Hunger ends our suffering and I achieve Ending A. Before I move on, I decide to get a few more achievements. Losing all my limbs on the main character, performing a marriage, and getting the Demon Kid, which takes a few business days to grow up. With this, all the endings that can be done on Terror and Starvation are done. All that remains is to get all of the S endings for every character. But before we switch to hard mode, I need to get something out of the way first. Dungeon Nights is a side dating sim mode where the objective is to find a partner for the prom. I'll be honest, I don't really care much about this mode, so I'll get it out of the way quickly. I choose Cahara, complete his quest and get the achievement for reaching the prom with a partner. Now it's finally time to play on hard mode and get all its exclusive endings. Not all S endings are created equal, some of them are really easy, others are more challenging. Let's get the easy ones out of the way first. Also, from now on I'll be playing with a mod that gives me 99 Book of Enlightenment to make frequent checkpoints. I won't be using them to reload if I die, this is only to prevent me losing a run because of a freeze or a crash. Because I assure you, if I get all the way to the end of Ragnavaldr S Ending only for the game to crash on me, I will eat my own nuts. To achieve Cahara S Ending, I need to find the King's Crown by uncovering all 3 treasures in Mahavre. This is probably the easiest S ending to achieve, since you can avoid fighting until you get betrayed by Sai at the end, but he's a complete jobber, so he poses no threat whatsoever. Once he is defeated, he drops the 3rd map. All that remains is to complete the Mahavre puzzle to get the old passage key, find the crown, and escape the dungeons. Next is Darcy's S ending. To complete her ending, you must find the 3 turn instructions in Mahavre to learn Rebirth of the Beloved and resurrect Legard. Just like Cahara's S ending, you can pretty much avoid fighting for the entire run, so this ending is also really easy. For some reason there's 2 achievements tied to this ending from doing the same thing, but hey, I'm not complaining. Now we are done with the easy endings. Enki's S Ending requires you to befriend Nosramus to get the Spirit Anchor and meeting his new god form in the Void. This means you have to defeat all the new gods to access the Throne of Ascension and defeat Sylvian. Yes, technically you can get the King Passage Key from an empty scroll to skip fighting the new gods, but I'm not wasting an empty scroll on that. And yes, you could touch skip Sylvian, but we need to defeat her in hard mode to get the achievement, so I have to face her. But by this point I have gotten used to navigating the dungeon, and know exactly what I need and where to find it. My first priority is to get the Eastern Sword. and learn Blood Golem and Necromancy to gather some party members.
Farrego e una gazella.
I also recruit a ghoul for an achievement and use Necromancy on Olmer's corpse for another one. After getting all the equipment I need, I go ahead and get the Spirit Anchor from Nostramus and make my way to the Void. In a desperate attempt to stop me from fighting her, Sylvian pulls out the secret move of lagging my game. But you should already know that shit don't work on me. The first turn is the most important one. If Enki was to get entangled, the fight will get much harder. Luckily, she entangles one of my skeletons, allowing me to summon my Blood Golem. Next, I use Leg Sweep to cut her smaller tentacles and continue stun locking her with Locust Swarm. I try to apply burn, but to no avail. The tumor also grows into Enki, which is not the best since he can stun my party, but by this point I've already cut all the Sylvian tentacles, so she no longer poses a threat. Time to re-equip the Spirit Anchor and talk with Enki's new god form to get his S Ending. Overall, not a terribly difficult ending to achieve. The only real obstacle is Sylvian with her RNG tentacle, but again, if you don't care about getting these achievements, you can literally just use the torch skip and go straight to Enki. This last ending is probably the hardest one so far. To achieve Ragnavaldr S Ending, you need to defeat basically every single boss in the entire game except for the final bosses. I'm not gonna lie, while I managed to get the other endings on my first try, this one took a few more tries, mostly because I forgot the Black Witch could cast Black Orb. In my successful run, I pretty much followed my classic route of getting the Eastern Sword, increase my affinity with Gro-goroth to get Blood Golem and Necromancy, and with Sylvian to get Loving Whispers. It's honestly crazy how much control this game gives you if you know what you're doing. Even if you get shafted while looting, there's always a guaranteed way to get what you need. This is what makes Finneranger games so fun and enjoyable to play. After buying a lot of soul stones, it's time to go around and defeat all the bosses in the dungeon. After getting the Blue Sin, the Miasma and the Eastern Sword, I am completely overpowered, and mop the floor with anything standing in my way.
Wait!
Except for the Skin Granny, she's still kind of a RNG fest with her critical slash, so I lose one skeleton to her.
Oh yeah, your grandma died, huh? Rip grandma. You can find this emote in the Fortnite store.
The last one to fall is the Iron Shakespeare, and by getting his soul, I can finally leave the dungeons. Damn it, I forgot about him. Okay, now I can finally escape the dungeons, earning Ragnavaldr S Ending. Now, despite what you think, I'm not done yet. I still need to defeat Gro-goroth in his hard mode iteration. At the start I was thinking about doing it with Enki, but in the end I decided to go with Dars, to have a easier time setting up the start of the run. During this run I'm unable to find an explosive vial to access the ticket, so I decide to use the Pinecone Pig, until he gives me one. Cue about 20 minutes of engaging gameplay against the Butterfly. I follow my usual setup, but this time I recruit 3 skeletons, because Gro-goroth hurts a lot, and more bodies means I'm safer. During the exploration of Mahabre, I'm lucky enough to find the Ever-Watching Talisman, which is pretty useful against him since it negates the damage bonuses Claw will get, thanks to the phobia he applies. This is the setup I ended up using for this fight. I begin the fight by casting Defense Stance to negate arm loss on my main character, and then Fast Attack after healing. The skeletons in the meantime are doing a good job at removing his eyes. Even after healing twice, I still lose one of them, but his job of poisoning him is already done. And after a few turns, the battle is won. And there you have it. I have completed all the achievements and done basically everything there is to do in Fear and Hunger 1. Oh no, wait a minute, it seems I have missed something. There's still one last thing left to do.